Now, Disney, one of the most significant entertainment companies in the world, turns 100 today. From Disney on Ice events to limited edition Disney 100 merchandise, it's really going all out for its centenary, as you can imagine, because it's potentially big business.
We all saw Star Wars crashing when Elon Musk slammed Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy for her woke propaganda. And let's be honest, when Elon talks, people listen. Suddenly, viewership started dropping like crazy, and now Disney is on the edge of a major meltdown. The company's CEO, Bob Iger, is furious and probably sweating through his suit at this point. So what's he gonna do now? Can he save Disney, or is it game over? Disney on fire. Disney is on fire, and not the good kind. The company is in crisis, plain and simple. Over the past 2 years, Disney has faced some of its roughest times in recent history, burning through a staggering $2 billion on projects that either failed miserably or never even saw the light of day. We are not talking about small-side gigs either. These were major productions involving big-name brands like Marvel, Star Wars, and Pixar. So where did all that money go? Well, Disney pumped billions into pre-production, only to end up shelving projects indefinitely or scrapping them altogether. Now, Bob Iger is running around in full-blown crisis mode. The financial fallout is massive, and it is not a pretty picture. As we head toward 2025, Iger's reputation is taking a serious hit. People are saying he is the most ineffective CEO the company has ever seen, with some even arguing that he has managed to be worse than his predecessor, Bob Chapek. Yes, that is how bad things are. So what exactly is Iger doing? His current strategy includes aggressive cost-cutting and reorganizing, but let's be honest, it feels more like damage control than a real plan. He keeps recycling the same corporate language and bland reassurances, hoping it will be enough to calm the storm. Spoiler alert, it is not working. The company is hemorrhaging money and fans are furious. It all got worse recently when Elon Musk decided to criticize Disney himself. The billionaire tech genius took his complaints about Disney and Lucasfilm straight to social media, targeting none other than Kathleen Kennedy, who is the head of Lucasfilm. Musk accused her of turning Star Wars into a platform for woke propaganda, saying it was more deadly than the Death Star. Musk's remarks started a whole wave of backlash, and boy, did people listen. As his criticism spread, viewership numbers for Disney's Star Wars projects started to tank, which made matters worse for the company. Disney tried to brush off the criticism. They tried to label it as a minority opinion, but the numbers do not lie. Musk has a massive influence, and this time it felt like he had ignited a full-blown movement against Disney. Fans began rallying against what they saw as Disney's obsession with political messaging, accusing the company of sacrificing storytelling for ideological agendas. So why is Disney so into this woke approach? Critics argue that the company's DEI, or diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, have become more of a distraction than an asset. The claim is that Disney is so focused on checking boxes and pushing social messages that it has forgotten how to tell good stories. Let's be real. When you have a franchise as iconic as Star Wars, your priority should be engaging the audience, not forcing agendas. Yet Disney seems to think otherwise. They double down on its DEI initiatives, even as its biggest productions continue to flop. And it is not just the fans who are annoyed. Even industry insiders and former collaborators are starting to speak up, questioning Disney's direction. Speaking of backlash, let's talk about another controversy that had Disney in the hot seat. It's the Snow White live-action remake. Oh yes, this one was a mess from the get-go. When Disney announced they had cast Rachel Zegler as Snow White, fans were instantly divided. Sure, some people praised the decision, saying it was a step toward diversity, but many hardcore fans felt betrayed. They pointed out that Snow White is a character rooted in German folklore, and the casting felt like a departure from the story's origins. Disney's move was seen by critics as yet another attempt to push a woke narrative, and they did not hold back. But the casting disaster was just the beginning. Zegler herself stirred up even more controversy when she started doing interviews. Instead of promoting the magic of the original Snow White, she bashed it. Yes, she actually criticized the beloved 1937 classic, calling it outdated and dragging its portrayal of romance. According to Zegler, Snow White's relationship with Prince Charming was weird and stalkerish. That's right. She reduced one of the most iconic fairy tale romances to a creepy misunderstanding. Fans were shocked. The comments went viral, and the backlash was swift and brutal for both Zegler for saying it and Disney for casting her. Suddenly, Zegler was the face of everything fans hated about the remake. People accused her of not understanding or appreciating the story she was meant to bring to life. Social media exploded with memes and angry posts. Even die-hard Disney fans felt like she had crossed a line, disrespecting a film that has been cherished for generations. And Disney did not make things any better. The studio faced criticism not just for casting, but for making radical changes to the story itself. Did you know they decided to cut out the 7 dwarfs? In an early version of the remake, Disney planned to replace the beloved dwarfs with a bunch of random magical animals. Fans were outraged. The 7 dwarfs are not just side characters, they are essential to the Snow White story. Their humor, personalities, and interactions with Snow White brought heart and depth to the original film. When news broke about this change, it felt like Disney was trying to erase yet another part of its legacy in the name of modernization. People took to social media to vent. They accused Disney of ruining yet another childhood classic. The backlash was so intense that Disney had to backtrack. They announced that the 7 dwarfs would be included after all. But by then, the damage was done. Fans had lost faith in the project. It only got worse when the first images of the dwarfs were revealed. The CGI versions looked awkward and unnatural, like characters ripped out of a cheap video game. Fans joked that they had stumbled straight out of Shrek, and the disappointment was palpable. Why didn't Disney just hire talented actors with dwarfism? Critics and fans alike felt that Disney had, once again, missed the mark. Then, to top it all off, David Hand, who is the son of one of the original directors of Snow White, decided to give his statement. He called the remake an insult to his father's legacy and slammed Disney for losing sight of what made the original so timeless. It was a harsh but honest critique, and one that resonated with fans who felt the same way. So here we are, watching Disney fumble through yet another crisis. The company's relentless push for a modern, politically correct narrative is alienating audiences and draining billions from its pockets. If that was not enough, another controversy has started to build around Bob Iger. Now, what new controversy is this? The recent controversy. You see, one of the biggest reasons people are questioning his leadership is his firm commitment to Disney's DEI initiatives. Iger has made it very clear that DEI is here to stay, and he is doubling down on it despite the company's ongoing financial chaos. And the thing is, while he may be dedicated, a lot of people are scratching their heads and wondering if he is just out of touch. The financial reality is harsh. Disney is bleeding money, and the main culprits are their powerhouse brands, Marvel, Star Wars, and Pixar. Each one is battling unique challenges, and instead of tackling these issues with fresh, bold ideas, Iger keeps recycling the same corporate jargon. It looks like he is stuck in a damage control loop, repeating strategies that are failing to make any real difference. Meanwhile, the fans are growing restless, and Disney's bank account keeps draining. Now let's talk about this right-sizing strategy. It is a fancy name. In simple terms, it is Iger's plan to rein in costs and make Disney leaner. He rolled out this aggressive cost-cutting initiative to try to offset the billions Disney has lost across movies, TV, merchandise, and even theme parks. The pressure is intense now. Investors want a recovery plan, fans want better content, and everyone is looking to Iger to deliver a miracle. So what does Iger do? He comes forward with a polished, carefully worded statement, which is a typical CEO move, by the way, to reassure everyone that Disney is taking proactive steps. He promises that these spending cuts will pave the way for a more sustainable future. He wants everyone to believe that this is not a desperate move, but a strategic one. Now, while Iger claims these budget cuts are purely about finances, he insists they are not a response to the backlash Disney has faced over its DEI agenda. This is where people start rolling their eyes. Iger keeps saying that reducing spending is about long-term strategy, not about critics pushing back on Disney's social messaging. Really, because it sure seems like the backlash from fans and declining box office numbers are hard to ignore. And let's be honest, many are questioning if Disney's focus on being socially progressive is backfiring in a major way. Here is the deal. Even Iger himself had to admit that the company has been reckless with money. Iger openly said that Disney's financial planning over the past couple of years was poor. They spent huge sums on projects that went nowhere. Imagine throwing billions at movies and TV shows only to cancel them or let them flop. It is a colossal waste, and Iger knows it. Now he has to tighten the budget, scaling back investments in Marvel, Pixar, and Star Wars. It is a bitter pill to swallow, but there is no other choice. Yet Iger is acting stubborn on the fact that cutting costs does not mean stepping back from DEI. Nope, he is positioning DEI as a fundamental part of Disney's vision, even as the company slashes budgets. He wants everyone to believe that they can have it both ways. Be fiscally responsible while still pushing forward with progressive values. Whether this balancing act will work is another story. Now take a step back and you will see how messy the situation is. Disney's reckless spending spree was not just about making too many projects, it was about making them too fast and too expensive. Now every penny counts. Projects that were greenlit without much thought are getting a second look, and even major productions are being scrutinized. It is a hard lesson for a company that used to feel invincible. But here's where things get even more interesting. Iger, always the smooth talker, is out there trying to reassure shareholders and audiences alike. He claims these cutbacks will help Disney stabilize over the next 2 to 3 years. The plan now is to focus on smaller, more manageable productions. The era of blockbuster budgets and ambitious projects is coming to an end, at least for now. And yes, this also means theme parks are not safe from the knife. Disney's famous parks will see funding cuts, which could delay expansions and impact new merchandise tied to those attractions. Iger is doing everything he can to avoid admitting just how bleak things really are. He does not want to say outright that Disney is in trouble, but the message is clear. The losses have been staggering. For example, The Acolyte, one of the Star Wars spin-offs, has not only been a creative disappointment but also a financial one. The series underperformed massively, becoming a symbol of the poor planning and execution that has plagued Disney. Look at Marvel. Once a surefire hit, it is now struggling to live up to its own legacy. Projects that should have been blockbuster successes are turning into box office flops. The same goes for Pixar, which used to set the standard for animated films but is now facing its own set of challenges. And yet, despite all these missteps, Iger keeps trying to spin the narrative, hoping his words will reassure everyone. One of the biggest controversies is how Disney's merchandise has also taken a hit. The company expected major sales from projects like The Acolyte, but when those series underperformed, merchandise sales fell flat. It is another blow to a company that relies heavily on branded products to keep the cash flow strong. Critics argue that this is a result of poor planning and overestimating the appeal of projects that just did not resonate with fans. So here we are. Disney is cutting costs and trying to fix the mess, but the real question is whether any of this will actually work. Will Disney ever recover? As Disney moves into the late 2020s, it faces some huge challenges. Not only is it being criticized by its own customers, the company has to seriously tighten its plans and find a way to avoid the reckless spending that landed it in this mess. And right now, things do not look so great for Disney's leadership. Bob Iger is still in charge, and many are skeptical about whether he has what it takes to turn things around. The company's future is looking shaky, especially with Iger doubling down on some choices that continue to divide fans. Now, Iger's approach to criticism is not winning any favors. He tends to brush off negative feedback, saying that only a small segment of Disney's audience is unhappy with the company's direction. But the thing is, public sentiment suggests otherwise. A growing number of fans are frustrated not just with Disney's financial missteps, but also with what they see as a disconnect between the company and its audience. The complaints are not coming from a fringe group, they are louder and more widespread than Disney would like to admit. One sore spot for many fans is Disney's massive influence in the media landscape. People are only now waking up to just how much Disney owns, like networks such as ABC, which produces shows like The View. As fans start realizing the extent of Disney's media reach, they are growing uneasy. The concern is that the company is too focused on pushing an agenda rather than genuinely connecting with its customer base. This realization is stirring up even more frustration. Looking ahead, Disney's task is not just to fix its financial problems, but also to win back its core audience. This is no small feat. As long as Iger sticks to his guns, like DEI, and ignores broader concerns, fans are going to feel alienated. Disney has to find a way to strike a balance, and that is easier said than done. Critics argue that Iger's priorities are misaligned. Instead of focusing on storytelling that captures the imagination, he is putting too much emphasis on making sure Disney checks every DEI box. And let's not pretend that this is just about a few unhappy fans. The numbers do not lie. Disney's recent releases like The Acolyte, The Marvels, and Self have struggled to meet expectations. Audiences feel like Disney's projects are more focused on delivering a message than on being engaging or entertaining. That leaves a gap in the market, one that movies like Deadpool and Wolverine have been quick to fill. These films, led by actors like Ryan Reynolds, have managed to stay true to what fans love, free from heavy-handed corporate influence. But even that victory is uncertain. Test screenings for upcoming releases like Captain America 4 have reportedly gone well, but the pressure is still very much on. Future projects like Fantastic Four are under a microscope, and fans are paying close attention. Disney cannot afford another flop. If these movies do not deliver, it could deepen the crisis and further damage the company's reputation. Disney's current struggle is about more than just finances. It is a question of trust and whether the company can still deliver the kind of magic it once did. Fans are tired of seeing their beloved franchises sacrificed at the altar of political messaging. They want stories that are captivating, not lectures disguised as entertainment. Disney has to make a choice. Either they recalibrate and reconnect with what audiences want, or risk becoming even more divisive. Disney used to feel like pure magic, a place where dreams came true and stories captured our hearts. But now, that magic is fading as the company's popularity drops, tangled in what many feel is too much woke propaganda. The truth is, magic is not about pushing agendas, it is about unforgettable characters, breathtaking adventures, and stories that resonate with everyone. If Disney wants a true comeback, it has to refocus on the core of what made it iconic. Genuine, heartfelt storytelling that transcends generations. Bring back the wonder, the charm, and the fun. That's how Disney can win back its fans. Can Disney find its way back, or is it doomed to continue down this rocky, controversial road? What do you think? Tell us your opinion in the comments below. If you enjoyed this shocking news, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest updates and our biggest stories. See you in the next video.